I am here with actor and model Johnny Castro. Thank
Hey
you so
guys.
much for spending some time here with me for an interview. Talk a little bit about when you first decided that you wanted to pursue a career in the arts. I know that you grew up in Costa Rica.
Correct.
Did you come here to study, or what was your journey?
Well, first of all, Brian, thanks so much for inviting me to your show.
Quite welcome.
A very cool project.
Thank you.
So yeah, I was born and raised in Costa Rica. I started modeling when I was like a little kid, like I was 10. I remember my mom took me to a casting, and this was for a commercial, for a Pepsi commercial, and I booked it. So she was like, "Oh, so this guy, we can like probably do more money with him."
Yeah.
So
she didn't send you packing, right? She kept you and got rid of your brothers and sisters.
Exactly. She was like, "Well, I'm gonna still send this guy to school, but you know, let's keep doing this." So it started there when I was a little kid, modeling, but I always wanted to act. And when I came to New York was 3 years ago. This was a plan to just to visit my friend. I only had one friend living in New York. And she was very well connected with modeling agencies and stuff like that. So she was like, "Well, Johnny, you should try staying longer and see what happens." And that's what I did. I just like visit some agencies and got signed with one. And from modeling, I started doing acting this year.
What was that like to go to modeling? Did you go like door to door with your photos?
I did.
Like to agency to agency. What was that like for you, being new to the city? You know, trying to make a good first impression, and you know, hustling to get gigs.
Well, it was quite difficult because for me, I'm not that tall, so my market is more commercial, like in model wise. And a lot of agencies were telling me, "Well, you're too short, the competition is fierce, and a lot of people is like, you know, a lot of guys are way taller than you, like 6 feet or taller. But there is a market for you, so we will give you the opportunity." And also, like, you know, for me, that I'm a foreign guy, you know, I had to go through a process of work authorization and, you know,
The
all
work
those
visa and stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it took like 3 months to go through that process, and then, you know.
Did you ever
here I
get
am.
discouraged and want to go back to Costa Rica?
There was a moment where I was like, you know what, I don't know if I want to go back to Costa Rica because it's good, you know, it's New York, it's the best that ever happened to me, to be very honest. And yeah, it was hard at the beginning, but now I feel like my life is here.
Yeah.
My family comes very often to visit me, so like every 3 or 4 months they will come visit.
Do you go back there for holidays, or do they come to you, or how does that work?
I haven't gone to Costa Rica in 3 years.
Wow.
So they have been coming to visit me, and actually they're coming back next month.
Nice.
So I'm very excited for that. Looking forward to it.
And obviously you made new friends and you acclimated. You don't just have that one friend, I would think.
Oh,
after
no.
After 3 years, I hope your friend circle grew a little, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I have a bunch of Costa Rican friends also, and people from all around the world, and you know, it's New York, so.
When did you decide you wanted to make the transition over to acting?
So I pretty much skipped a lot of things that I did in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, I did modeling a lot, and when I was like 21 or so.
You did a soap opera, right? The first soap opera?
Yeah, that was after so first of all, I had a modeling agency in Costa Rica when I was like 21 or 22. But then I was like, you know what, I think I always wanted to do acting. I had this contact with a producer in Costa Rica. His name is Héctor Alfaro, and he was, well, his vision was to start making the soap operas industry in Costa Rica. So he got in contact with a bunch of professional actors and some models to start the soap opera industry. And I did an audition, and then I did it. I got it. I was one of the villains in that soap opera. Yeah.
Did you have to practice that? You don't seem very villainous to me. You seem very nice.
I think it was more like looks, I think, and
because you're darker and like you have the darker features.
And I guess getting into character was easy for me to get to like I don't know, like a mean look. I don't know.
Villains are always more fun to play anyway.
Yeah, it was very fun. We did that for like 6 months, and we were filming all around the country in Costa Rica. We did like shots in the beach and some in the city. You know, the story was very fun because this was, as all, you know, soap operas, there's a girl that gets in love with someone that she shouldn't get in love with. This story was that this girl was gonna inherit a lot of money, and she didn't know. So she was, you know, just a regular cute girl from the beach, and she get in love with a taxi driver. And you know, it's a taxi driver, so there was a difference. And all her family, that's where I come from. I was her cousin, and all her family members were trying to steal all her money and inherit. How do you say inheritance?
The inheritance. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember killing a bunch of people and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least you could do it on TV, right?
Yeah.
Get it out of your system.
Yeah.
You don't want to come to New York and start doing that.
I don't think so, but you know, I sometimes think that I would like to go back to that market of telenovelas, and I know, like in Miami, it's a good market, but New York, it's more like TV,
and
film,
theater.
And theater mostly, right?
What are some of the shows that you booked when you came up and started to hit the ground running?
So the first show that I did here in New York was this year. I started doing The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I did a couple of episodes there, and I remember meeting a guy on film. He was telling me about West Side Story, and I just didn't know what it was, because in Costa Rica we don't really have, you know, like musicals and stuff like that. And he's like, man, you should apply for the audition. They're looking for a lot of Latino people. So I'm like, oh really? Well, do you have the contact?
Yeah.
And he gave me the information. So I went to the audition, and it was a bunch of people, like I would say like 500 people in a huge auditorium in Harlem. And it was very, very tough, because they had like 3 different spots in the middle of the stage, and they were like, okay, so you go here, you go there. So like it was very clear who was not getting it, who was possibly getting it, and who was for real getting it.
And were they basing that all on looks at that point, or were people auditioned vocally, or you know?
It was only for looks. They were only taking pictures and your information, and based on that, they will get, you know, they will make a call back, and then, you know, I booked it. So I was part of when we started filming this, which was with Steven Spielberg. This was
that no one's ever heard of, you know, Steven Spielberg, him.
This was incredible experience, because, you know, it's taking you back to the time of the 1950s. Sorry about that.
You're good. No, you're good.
So it was taking you back to the 1950s. So the process was a lot of fun, you know, because we had to go through a process of fitting wardrobes from, you know, vintage clothes. They will give you a hair style that was more appropriate for that era. And what I booked was a feature role. I didn't have any speaking parts. I was a part of the musical America, America, right?
Yeah.
America, and yeah, I was just, you know, having fun, dancing, singing, and that was it.
That's awesome. And how long did you shoot for?
For 2 weeks.
And that was just one scene that you did?
It was just for that shot of the song.
And
America.
that took 2 weeks?
That took 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
And that was my only participation on the movie.
Did you get to talk with other actors on set and share experiences with each other?
A lot of background actors, yes, a lot of background actors mainly. And I did have an opportunity to talk with Anita, the girl that made of Anita. She was Latina also, and she came over and say, I think I've seen you before. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't think so, because this is like, I'm starting here in New York. So it was fun. She was very sweet. Steven Spielberg was incredible. He's very humble. He will say hi to everyone in the room. We were actually filming in the streets, but like, you know, in the area.
That had to take on a whole life of itself, though, filming in the streets of New York. I would assume they had it blocked off, but I mean, you're still outside, and for 2 weeks, you got to make sure the light is the same and that kind of thing. So what was that a challenge for you, or?
Well, we were filming this in the summer, and it was very hot
and you're probably
very
in a leather
sunny.
Jacket, right?
Well, we were wearing a lot of, you know, protection, sun protection, because it was crazy.
You didn't have to wear a leather jacket to be
in
your scene? Oh, that's
no. We were wearing very light clothes.
Good. Because I think a lot of the people are in leather jackets at some point, right?
Maybe in another scene.
The gang scenes?
Maybe for another scene. But for the one that I did, it was actually very colorful, very fun. A lot of Latinos. Mainly everybody was Latino for that shot. And I remember one day they had to cancel the filming because it was way too hot. It was over 100 degrees. And they didn't want to take the risk of, you know, people getting sunburn or whatever. Right,
and heat exhaustion.
Yeah,
they don't need to drop them dead in the middle of the street.
And
then it'll be a CSI episode.
And you know, they blocked like 5 streets in Harlem to do these shots. So like the whole decoration was, you know, like vintage and everything.
And were people living in these buildings and like watching you guys film?
Yeah, it was funny because a lot of people was like going on the window and like looking and filming, and on the streets they would like take pictures of you. So
that's awesome.
It was fun. It was cool.
Was having that be your first big role here in the States is, you know, a pretty incredible thing to have as her, and to be surrounded by an entire Latino not population, but the characters were all Latino. That must have been very important to you.
It was, and it is.
Just only for that day. And now you're like, I don't care about Latino people anymore.
Can you imagine?
I did the whole Latino acting thing.
That's in the past now. No. I mean, like, it's every single experience for me. It's unique, and I try to enjoy it as much as I can and learn from it, because you just never stop learning. And yeah, I mean, like the process from modeling to acting, I enjoyed more acting because you're more relaxed, you're more like, you know, be more more natural. I feel like modeling is being more stiff and more perfect, and it doesn't exist such thing, you know?
Especially if you want to act.
Exactly.
If you want to be a model full time, then you're not thinking of the other side of things. But when you want to act more, then you're thinking, as you're modeling, like, oh, I really wish I could be more animated, or this, that, and the other thing. What are some of the projects that you're looking towards now? I know you've also done a few other guest spots, right?
Yeah, actually yesterday I was featured on God Friended Me.
Oh, nice.
And that was very cool participation. Well, it was a very small role that I had there also, but...
there are no small roles.
Well, thank you. But yeah, are you familiar with the show?
Yes. Brandon Michael Hall. Yes.
Yeah. Did you watch it? No.
Last night? Oh, you were on it last night.
Yeah. I was on it.
I didn't see last night.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the thing, let me tell you what happened. Since already, you know, it was already aired.
You're not gonna get fired.
I was actually also, like, my character was presented on the last week's episode. You know, Rakesh has a love with Jaya, and they have a secret relationship. They're hitting their relationship from Jaya's parents, so they're like, you know, hanging out by themselves. But what Rakesh didn't know by the time was that her parents were setting up this wedding, Indian traditional wedding, with a guy that was already, you know, his name is Kamal, and you know, that's me. So what I knew from the character was that he went to law school and he's, you know, he was very well, you know,
Yeah.
he has his career,
from money
and he
and-
has
yeah.
money, and that's all those things that they look for to marry their daughter. So he didn't know until he saw a post on her Facebook account that Kamal said, like, okay, so lunch or dinner tomorrow, and he called her immediately, and she's like, no, that's not important, blah blah blah. Then her birthday came up, which was yesterday, on this episode of yesterday, and then she told him to not show up because it was a surprise that her family and her parents were making up or blah blah blah, but he didn't know that it was actually a wedding.
Right.
So he still showed up, and surprise, he sees that everybody was
So are you going
celebrating.
to be on again, or?
So so far I think this is my participation, but you never know.
And you just did Bull on Friday, right? You filmed for Bull.
Yeah. Well, for Bull, I am part of the TAC. It's like Trial Analysis Corporation. That's where Bull works. And I'm always like, you might see me in any random episode. I'm like part of the.
Oh, you're part of the back, like the text and stuff.
Exactly.
Awesome. So how many episodes have you shot of that?
I would say like 10 episodes. Yeah.
Nice.
So, but I don't know. Like I might be, you know, seen. Sometimes I'm not seen, but
Right.
I'm there.
Hey, you're getting paid. It doesn't matter, right?
Exactly.
What other roles are you looking to branch out and do? Do you want to stay with the Latinx representation? Do you want to try and not steer away from it, but not go in with that headset and that focus?
Well,
Because representation is very important.
yeah, I'm actually looking for representation right now for
I
acting.
mean representation of Latinx community.
Gotcha.
Actors.
Well, you know, even for Kamal, I was portraying an Indian guy,
yeah.
so I'm always open for anything.
Yeah, you could probably play Greek, I would think, because of your coloring and your dark hair and your skin tone.
Yeah, sometimes I get booked for as Indian, Turkish,
yeah.
as Brazilian, as just general Latino.
Yeah.
But I mean, like whatever it's there, I'll take it. And I think it's always important to, as I was saying, to learn new things. I think I would like to start getting involved on like vocal lessons and like dancing lessons, you know, to just step it up a little bit and be more open for.
Well, then you're
for
more
other.
marketable that way as well, because you have
Exactly.
so many other skills.
Exactly, you know, and this is New York. The big thing is Broadway. So I never seen, or I've never visualized myself like on a stage, because I always liked or been more comfortable in front of cameras. But
Right.
like I still would like to, you know, switch it up a little bit.
Absolutely, and being in New York, there's so many theaters you can perform in. Even if you did your own performance of something that you were interested in, there's so many small theaters you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, like anything, it's possible.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's so many options here that.
There are, and so many
I liked
television
it.
show filming here, and with the advent of Netflix and that kind of thing,
Yep.
there's so many more options available for everyone to dip into.
And there's always new things going on right now for mainly TV, you know, and I see new TV shows. They're looking for like not only Latin guys, like, you know, they call it ambiguous also.
Ambiguous, yeah.
So I mean, like I think I'm pretty much that, and yeah.
Now
you
there's
know,
a joke for new actors. You have to do a Law and Order, and you have to be in a horror film, and you haven't done either one yet, have you?
Not yet.
See?
And I would love to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember growing up, or back in Costa Rica, watching Law and Order. I was like, oh my God, that would be so cool to be part of, or to be on a horror film. Like, I don't know, like murder someone or getting murdered. I don't know.
Yeah. Which would you be better at?
I
You
think
played the villain already once. So
yeah, I think I would like to be on the other side, right?
yeah, just not the first one killed off, right?
Yeah, I would like to be like, you know, had a little bit more.
What do you do on your downtime to when you're not focusing on your acting career?
Well, I have a dog, so I take care of my little dog. She's my princess.
Yeah.
She's 11 months. Her name is Kira.
Nice.
So I take her to the park all the time, and you might even see me in the subway with her. I also love to do a lot of exercise. So when it's good weather, I will go to the park and go for a run or in the bicycle or do something like that. Now that it's cold, I'll go to the gym or eat a lot. Yeah.
Got you covered there. You also, as a hobby, host a program.
Yes, so that's another cool thing that I forgot to mention, because
I gotcha. I'm right here with you. I didn't forget.
Well, I did mention that I had a modeling agency in Costa Rica, and I did that for like 3 or 4 years before coming to New York. And when I decided to stop, I was like, you know what? I really enjoyed working on this side of the business, and sharing that contacts that I had, and connections that I had with other talents, which I thought there's a bunch of talents in Costa Rica. So, but there was a point where I'm like, I don't think a lot of people are like getting it. It's still a very small market. So I don't think I wanted to continue doing that, but I still had the name and the logo of the agency, which was Cover Models Management. And when I came to New York, one of my friends, Cici Gamache, she's like, well, Johnny, you already had the experience with dealing with models and clients and parents. What about have you ever thought that you can have your own TV show or your host show or something like that? And I'm like, really? I don't think I have the personality for that, but why not? And she's like, well, I do have, I know a place here in Manhattan that you can go to learn how to interview, how to even use cameras and all that. And you can have your own web series or something.
Yeah,
would you
You're sitting in front of one, right?
Exactly. So this was very cool when I you contacted me. I said, yeah, this is pretty much what Cici told me, and we did it. We started interviewing people, mainly girls that I knew from Costa Rica that were making it here in New York. So it was mainly models and makeup artists, fashion designers, people that was like involved in the fashion industry. But recently, one of the interviews that I did with a girl, her name is Louisa Warwick. All the things that she was saying to me was like, well, I think I would like to go a day in her life, like filming everything that she's telling me she's going to do. And I would like to switch the name of it, and now it's Day in the Life. Yeah. So she inspired me to do that, and since then,
that's awesome.
Since then, I do it a day in the life in this talent. It could be a musician, it could be a producer, it could be anybody. Not only models, and
Yeah, I got it. So
expand it a little bit, and
that's awesome.
And I do that like every once in a while. Like,
does that enhance your acting when once you're talking to somebody, you kind of get little bits of their personality and like, oh, maybe I could use that in a role or that kind of thing. Does it inspire you in any way?
It inspires me in a way, but not like.
I don't mean copycatting.
Exactly, not for me. I'm switching in Spanish.
You can speak Spanish. I will have no idea what you're saying unless you say hola and brazos. Those are my two words that I know.
Well, so let me go back to my switch in English. The inspiration that I get is more like, I would like to. It's more like a producer visual that I get, like being behind the cameras, not like, okay, I'm gonna use that for me when I'm in front of the cameras and act this way or blah blah blah. because when I'm interviewing someone, I think this person is my guest, is my star, is all about this person, not about me. So it's like, you know, that's
as well it should be. That's exactly how you should be doing
so
it.
I don't, when I do an interview with someone, I try to like be more focused on that person and be not you know, it's not about me.
Right, right. That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
Well, we will link that here in the interview. You can check out Johnny's website, his Instagram page, which are all linked here. Johnny, thank you so much for taking time out to meet up with me. It's been fantastic.
Thank you so much. It's been
Look forward to another interview.
Definitely.
Thanks,
Anytime.
Johnny.